What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today's update on March 14th, 2022 is going to go over every world event that has just happened that we feel is important. Again, all of these will be available over on marfooglenews.com, so we have sources for everything that I'm about to say, whether it's a video, a tweet, an article, a document. It will be over on marfooglenews.com. Now, remember, when you go over here, you can see all of the links. You can actually find everything there. On top of that, you can support us. If you would like to prepare, you can go over to marfooglenews.com/prep and go through My Patriot Supply, get a discount on some things as far as long-term survival food and gadgets of all kinds. One suggestion that a lot of people have been making lately is, of course, survival books, because you won't have Google at some point. So let's go over a couple of the big things here. There is bipartisan calls to ramp up on President B to give Ukraine jets and weapons. Now, I pointed out on Twitter that it is trending right now to close the sky over Ukraine. Now, the translation of that I put over there, and I just wanted people to really know what that means. I really just kind of put it out there that people should at least know what they're retweeting and what they're sharing. To close the Ukrainian sky means that U.S. jets and NATO jets would be enforcing that sky, and that would be U.S. jets and NATO jets against Russian jets. That is what you call a conflict, a world conflict. So I don't think that a lot of people that are retweeting it and blindly saying, close the skies, know that that is what is entailed. I know that most of you do, but again, there are a lot of people you can tell from the context on Twitter that people do not know what that actually means. It says a growing number of U.S. lawmakers ratcheted up pressure on President JB on Sunday to increase military aid to Ukraine, including sending fighter jets and air defense systems that the administration rejected last week. They rejected it last week because they said that it would cause a conflict. It says the public calls for both sides of the aisle to answer Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's urgent pleas for air assistance come as the B administration declined an offer from Poland to deliver MiG-29 airplanes to Ukraine for fear such a move could be interpreted by the Russians as an escalation of the United States' role in the conflict. Obvious statement there. And then Russian prosecutors warn Western companies of arrests and asset seizures. McDonald's, Coke, P&G, IBM, among those warned that leaders could be arrested, trademarks seized. Russian prosecutors have issued warnings to Western companies in Russia, threatening to arrest corporate leaders there who criticize the government, or to seize assets of companies that withdraw from the country, according to the people familiar with the matter. It says prosecutors delivered the warnings in the past week to companies including Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Procter & Gamble, International Business Machines Corp., and KFC owner Yum Brands, Inc. The people said that the calls, letters, and visited include threats to sue the companies and seize assets, including trademarks, the people said. One thing I want to point out is we are not getting a whole lot from the other side. We actually use VPNs to go outside of our realm to get some of this because there is pretty much no RT. There is no Russian news agencies that are really getting out through a lot of the main populous places where you would get Russian news. That again is something that they say is because they're helping, but I honestly think that it's kind of messed up to not be able to see that on most of the main platforms. It says Russia seeks military equipment from aid from China, U.S. officials say. Remember, this is coming from U.S. officials. What they are saying is that Russia is asking China for help. Now, there's this big kind of thing out there that says that Russia is failing horribly and everything you see is basically a Russian failure. I don't exactly believe that. Again, my opinion is that if they are failing, it's on purpose or something else. It says Russia has turned to China for military equipment and aid in the weeks since it began its invasion of Ukraine. U.S. officials familiar with the matter told the Washington Post. The officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the subject did not describe what kind of weaponry had been requested or whether they know how China responded. The development comes as White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan plans to travel to Rome on Monday to meet with his Chinese counterpart Yang Jiechi. It says that we are communicating directly, privately to Beijing that there will be absolutely be consequences for large-scale sanctions, evasion efforts, and support to Russia to backfill them, Sullivan told CNN. A spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington, Lu Pengyu, said he was not aware of any such request for assistance, and it says, quote, "I have never heard of that," he said in an email to the Washington Post. So we don't know what is actually happening here. I don't know. That would also make Russia look like they are not doing well and they don't have things. So now they're asking China. Seems to me like they are trying to pull China into this as well, or at least in the media. So everybody gets thinking that, hey, China's involved. Now, if this goes as like the rest of it goes, watch them actually say that they are helping, and then watch them sanction. Then we have China and Russia in. I do want to remind people that a lot of the hacking community and a lot of the computer community knows that there is a massive cyber conflict going on. Many of us do not know, all of this stuff, and we're not computer people, but the computer people and the entire community, you can look anywhere on YouTube, you will see that they are talking about this and how big this cyber conflict is. In particular, there's a few videos that went viral in the last week that talked about this, and I think that more of the mainstream is starting to understand how big of a cyber conflict is going on. I really do believe that they are doing a ton of ransomware and a ton of different attacks, and we don't know who's actually doing it. I'm not going to say it's major state powers, but everyone is jumping in on this. So that is something that everybody needs to be aware of. And then UN Secretary General warns once unthinkable nuclear conflict within the realm of possibility. Before he said that it wasn't a possibility, now is saying that a possibility of a nuclear conflict exists in the midst of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So it sort of sounds like a setup here. Guterres briefed journalists on the Ukraine situation Monday, where he described multilateral efforts to reach a diplomatic end for Russia's attack on the country. During the presser, Guterres spoke to the recurring questions about how Vladimir Putin's military steps against Ukraine could lead to the breakout of a nuclear conflict. So very well could be Ganda pushing out to make people fear this. But one thing is, a lot of us, including Dex, even spent over the weekend just in the slight, tiny possibility that it may be true. We're helping family members get ready for the obvious and possible event of that. Now, that is something that all preppers are doing. It doesn't mean that you have to, but again, anybody that is looking at this kind of sees something massive coming. It says, raising the alert level of the Russian nuclear forces is a bone-chilling development, Gutierrez said. The prospect of a nuclear conflict, once unthinkable, is now back within the realm of possibility. Anybody who is older, who lived through all of the get-under-your-desk drills as a child, this is probably not going to affect you as much. But for the newer generations, I bet that this is definitely scaring the crap out of them. And then, of course, Battlefront, NATO masses 30,000 troops and 50 warships for a huge war game on Russia's border, risking Putin's roid rage wrath. That's the quote they used, right? It says NATO has amassed 30,000 troops and 50 warships near Russia's border for military exercises, risking the Mad Vlad's rage. That's how media is putting it, right? Of course, they had to put that. The drill named Cold Response, which we talked about, has kicked off today in Norway amid escalating tensions between Russia and the West over the invasion of Ukraine. This was the cold weather exercises that we talked about, and we even had a former military caller on our other channel where we do our live shows, Marfoogle TV. We talked about how these exercises have happened before, and again, this is another one of those, but also you always have to look at these military exercises and know that they can turn into real events. We have done that throughout history. Almost every country with the military has done exercises that have turned into real events. It's a good way to move around troops. It's a good way to hide things until very last second. It's kind of like clearing a field of trees and then leaving that front row on the road so nobody complains. And then the last day, cutting off those trees, and all of a sudden there's 5 miles of no trees. It's kind of like that. It says the largest NATO exercise, which is held just a few miles from the Russian border, was planned long before Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, but its significance has now been heightened. It says, quote, this exercise is extremely important for the security of Norway and its allies. We will practice an allied reinforcement of Norway. Norwegian Defense Minister Odd Roger Noksen said. It says it is not being held because of the Russian authorities' attack on Ukraine, but given the backdrop there, it is of a heightened significance. Okay, now where we get into the cyber threat. It says cyber threat, China claims it's captured U.S. NSA spy tool dubbed Trojan Horse that can control global internet equipment and steal info. Just to repeat that, China claims that it has captured a U.S. NSA spy tool dubbed Trojan Horse that can control global internet equipment and steal info. China claims to have captured a U.S. National Security Agency spy dubbed Trojan Horse, which it's like, really, they named it Trojan Horse out of everything. And it says that can allegedly control global internet equipment and steal information. The alleged NSA spy tool is capable of lurking in a victim's computer and access sensitive information, according to the Chinese outlet Global Times. Now, that's coming from their end, which we can still access their news. It says a report obtained by the outlet of the National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center claims that the dubbed Trojan Horse, or NoPen, is a remote control tool for Unix Linux computer systems. The tool can allegedly remotely control existing network servers and terminals, which attackers can manually implant, or cyber attack platforms by the NSA. The outlet reporting, citing the NCVERC report. According to the Chinese outlet, the tool is mainly used to steal files, access systems, redirect network communications, and view a target device's information. So with that, if they truly do have that could be extremely, extremely dangerous. Or they may just be telling us that, but again, it's up to you what you want to believe. And then it says the iCountry ran to the store, claims it targeted a Mossad facility in Erbil. A dozen ballistic missiles launched from have struck Erbil, the capital of Iraqi Kurdistan. In the early hours of Sunday, the Kurdish Counter-T Department confirmed that the target was a U.S. consulate in Erbil and that there was no substantial damage. So we heard about this where essentially missiles struck, or this attack hit. And when it first came out, people were saying, oh my gosh, the iCountry just attacked a U.S. consulate. At first, which we covered, that we didn't know if it was actually the state or backed actors. It sounds like they have actually claimed it, but there wasn't actual effects to the U.S. consulate. It was near the consulate. Everybody says it was near, but it did not take any lives of the U.S. People were wondering if that was going to start a WW3 situation. But we are following that as closely as we can. Again, we're going to be covering that also on our website. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. You'll see all of the appropriate tweets and everything that people are saying. And then December 9th, 2021 leads a 10-country simulation of a major cyber attack. Do you remember this? This was on December 9th of last year. Leaded a 10-country simulation of a major cyber attack on world markets. The 10-day drill, led by Finance Ministry, aims to boost international cooperation against hacker threat to global financial systems, banks, and things like that. And then it said that led a 10-country, 10-day-long simulation of a major cyber attack on the world's financial system by a sophisticated player with the goal of minimizing the damage to banks and financial markets. Now, that happened in December 9th of course, 2021, just a few months back. And now we have Israel government sites crash and cyber attack. A defense establishment source claims that the largest ever cyber attack carried out against the nation. A number of government websites went down on Monday in an apparent cyber attack. The websites of the Interior, Health, Justice, and Welfare Ministries were taken offline. It says, as was that of the Prime Minister's office. Access to some of those sites have been restored. It says that a defense establishment source claims that this is the largest ever cyber attack carried out against this country. They believe that a state actor or large organization has carried this out. And then, on a side note, this is something a lot of folks are talking about and a lot of people are actually angry about, is PPE, as far as the masks and different things like this, are actually getting funneled through a ton of people in Europe. It says that all of these PPE units are going to the EU. As far as this was a letter, and we've placed this on our website. In fact, I might be able to put it up here. Let's see here. It says, if you are reading this, it's mean you've placed an order for one or more of the NBC 77 gas mask filters and you are locked in for delivery. However, due to unprecedented order volume and shipping delays, delivery may take up to 4 weeks, estimated. Why? It says the unfolding conflict in Ukraine has wreaked havoc on global supply chains and sent demand for the personal protective equipment through the roof, but rest assured, while your order may be delayed, it will be delivered. Our team is working overtime, and we've added a night shift to process the overwhelming amount of orders we've received since Russia declared conflict. Again, this is something that essentially we know for a fact now from all of the different companies that have essentially ordered these things, that they are not available, that everyone in Europe is prepping for something big. Obviously, that may be a result of the news and the media telling them that there may be chemical events that may happen. But one thing we do know for sure is that a ton of these things are going out to everybody in Europe. This is a massive kind of prep step that people are taking. And if you can imagine, the people that are on the bordering countries, they are probably freaking out right now. And they're probably panic buying these things like crazy. One thing that this means, though, is if you do want to get them, it's going to be harder to get. So a lot of people are thinking that they are not going to be able to get these by the time something happens. It also shows that, of course, all of these companies that actually buy them and resell them, they can't even get a hold of them. They're going somewhere, and again, they're not available. All of the information here, including that letter to the customer, basically telling them that everything is delayed as far as these personal protective units. That will be over on marfooglenews.com. If you look over on the right side, we are independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We're a multi-billion-dollar company. So what you can do to help is share our stuff and share this video because it does have all of the updates. And you can also support us in any way if you want to prep yourself up. There's many ways to do so on the right side. We just ask that, of course, if you're already going to do any of those things, if you do it through those boxes, you will help our channel at the same time. Thank you, everybody, for supporting, and thank you for the people that have already popped in. I look like Diane Moses popped in before we even started today. So thank you, Diane Moses, and don't worry, we'll catch you next time. All right, thank you, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and again, make sure that you understand what is possible here. If they say, if any of this is true, of course, most of this is based, on partial truths here, then people need to start looking at, of course, everything that we have taken for granted and make plans accordingly. It doesn't mean to be afraid. It does not mean to be scared. It means to be aware of your surroundings and work out a plan with your family. If everything goes out and you find out that your entire city has gone down and the power is out and it's not just your local neighborhood, you need to figure out something immediately. That is my opinion. Again, what's yours? Give me a comment down below. Thank you, guys. Me and Dex will be live here in just a few minutes over on our sister channel with a live 2-hour show digging in depth into all of these subjects. So join us over there. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.